I'm Boris Clark, coach to professional cyclists, world champions and Olympians. Professional scientist, amateur cyclist, sometimes mistaken for being the other way around. My life is one big science experiment, trying to find peak performance for myself and others.
Alright, Monday. So just first run of the week today. Basically recovery day after a pretty big weekend, so ended up having 11 hours. That big tempo session, then 6 hours Sunday, which went really well. So just 15-minute ride to work this morning, 45 minutes, so cruise home. So my last big higher volume-ish week of training for tour of Taiwan. So it should be 18 to 20 hours, give or take. Weather's a little bit miserable here, but one thing I'm doing this week is starting my head acclimation, which is nothing to do with why I'm wearing this jacket, just because it's kind of raining when I left work, and I just happened to have it there. I didn't have any cycling gear. And basically doing not quite 2 weeks, pretty much every day doing something. So that'll either be a ride on the trainer, overdressed in like a painter suit as well, or a hot bath. So today will be a hot bath. So aiming for 20-25 minutes, aiming for water of like 40 degrees plus, or 40 degrees really, probably not plus. That's actually really hard to stay in there that long. Core temperature gets pretty high. The reasons I'm doing this it's twofold really. So when I go to tour of Thailand, not tour of Taiwan, but tour of Thailand, it's already 34-35 degrees in Thailand every day. So it's getting pretty warm. So helping the body acclimate to that is really important. But another reason is just in general, there's some evidence now that it can just help in temperate conditions, so normal conditions. And if you look at the adaptations you get from acclimating to the heat, so say like increased plasma volume, increased sweat rate, things like that are going to be beneficial just when you're working hard and your body's getting hot, even if it's not super hot out. Doing that to benefit me for Taiwan as well, hopefully. Alright, here we are, hot bath, time for the fun. Normally I just throw a podcast on my headphones and sit in there, won't film myself getting in there, you don't need to see that. Also got just the normal, just got a heater in the bathroom, which is quite lucky. Just helps heat the air a little bit more. I fit pretty well in the bathtub, but ideally you want to be fully submerged, and I normally my knees stick out and obviously keep your head out for obvious reasons. If I heat the room up just a fraction more, just stop losing that heat through those areas and make it a little bit more brutal. Alright, Tuesday, hour easy in the morning, probably just a little bit over. Same in the afternoon, but doing most of that on the trainer. Heat acclimation ride, overdressed, trying to get hot. But don't know if you'll be able to see this. But if you look out there, the weather's turning it on once again for us. So if it's cold inside or not that hot inside, it can be quite hard to get hot, even right on the trainer overdressed. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be another hot bath. Well, the main purpose of this morning's ride is just to be some general endurance volume. One thing I do is 3, 4, 5 maximum sprints of 3, 4, 5 seconds, probably 4 or 5 more likely. And the purpose of this is not to work on anaerobic power or anaerobic system per se, but more just the mechanical determinants of that power. So the peak power you can do is more like determined by things like the force you can generate and things like that. So force you can generate onto the pedal, which is partially how the muscle works, partially technique, and so just making sure to do a little bit of maintenance there. And it's not particularly taxing, because you're not really getting into that sort of glycolytic range of, let's say, 10, 15, 20 seconds. Yeah, why this is particularly important for me right now is at the moment I haven't been going to the gym. Basically I've been doing it in blocks, so block where I hit the gym quite hard and I have to ride a little bit less just because I'm quite constrained for time. And then leading into a race like this, say the last 3 weeks, personally I think I'm probably better off getting a bit more volume in, being a little bit fresher to do my intensity sessions well, given that sort of that peak power or gym work is not a key determinant of riding tours or climbing hills really well. But it is really important. There's improvements in muscular economy and things like that, which over the long term I believe are really important, so I want to get gym work in. But yeah, so essentially I've been doing it in blocks, but that makes working on things like just maintaining some of that peak force capacity even more important. Well, now that it's stopped raining, it's warmed up quite a bit, but so I'm pretty thankful that this rain jacket, don't know if you can see that, it's got some extra ventilation holes just pre-built in. Well, not pre-built in, they've developed over time, and I think this is actually a feature of the jacket. So the more you wear it, the more it knows you're going to get fitter, you're going to get hotter, therefore the more ventilation holes it develops the longer you own it.
Right, time for the first painted suit ride of this block. Let's get to it. Alright, here we are, partway through, just over 20 minutes in, 22 minutes in fact. So this heat ride. So I've done 250 watts so far, so I normally just start off a little bit harder, get the core temperature up a little bit quicker. You'll notice also I put on a long sleeve jersey underneath here. The reason for that is partially warm you up quicker, so more insulation. Partially it helps soak up a bit more sweat, so keeps this whole session a bit cleaner, don't make a mess of the garage floor. Now, so I've got just under halfway to go. I put on erg mode and doing 230 watts or so. And the reason for that is just it's mentally a little bit easier just to sit here and pedal rather than have to think about if I go in too hard, not hard enough. I know that sort of once I'm up to temperature or getting towards temperature, that sort of power range is good. It's amazing doing heat training, like your RPE probably gets hot a lot before your core temperature does. So what I mean by that is you feel hot before you are actually really hot. And that makes it tough because you actually have to spend probably quite a bit longer than you'd think riding feeling awful to get the benefit you're after. Another thing you quite easily notice with this, and something you can track over time, is first 5 minutes I was doing 250 watts, my heart rate was 125 beats a minute, pretty stable. Now I'm doing about 230, so a little bit less. My heart rate's 140, 145 as I'm getting hot and dehydrated. Now, it doesn't take a genius to know that as you exercise more, your heart rate's going to go up regardless of the conditions, but it's certainly quite an extreme rise after 20 minutes. So I'm doing quite an intense block of this heat work, whether it be bath or riding like this. The reason for that is if you're doing it once or twice a week, just here and there, like you're probably not hurting yourself, but you're probably not gaining much. Whereas if you do a real concentrated block, 7 or 8 sessions, you're getting sort of 70 to 80% of the adaptation, or acclimation rather, that you're going to get from heat training or heat acclimation. And then if you do sort of 2 weeks, which is close to where I'm going to end up, probably 10, 12 sessions, then you end up with pretty much all the benefits you're going to get in the short term. Now, whether you can stack these benefits on top of each other over a long period of time, I think you probably can, but research is not there for that. Another thing is a lot of people will like try and avoid drinking during these sessions. But to me, the purpose of these sessions is actually to increase your sweat rate, to increase your body's responses to allowing it to cool itself. When sweating is one of them, the purpose of the suit and clothes and stuff is to stop the evaporation. So you still want to be increasing the sweating, but without getting the cooling effect of it. So then when you get outdoors, essentially you can sweat more, sweat better, but you'll get the evaporation and you actually cool yourself down better. That's going to improve your performance. One other thing people talk about a little bit is hemoglobin mass increases. So hemoglobin is what carries oxygen around in your blood. If you're doing a real long-term heat acclimation, like 5 times a week maybe for 6 weeks, there's some research that shows you increase hemoglobin mass, so increase your oxygen carrying capacity, similar to altitude training. Whether this is true, like there's a study or maybe 2 that show it, so definitely possible, but it's far from totally conclusive yet. And you're not going to get it from 2 weeks of this. I mean, doing it 5 times a week for 6 weeks, just probably ain't going to happen for me, to be honest. Like, I think that's another factor with this training is, what are you giving up to this training? And for me, this would just be an hour endurance anyway, so it's quite time efficient to just do it on the erg, getting hot. My performance isn't that compromised. I can still ride endurance. Whereas if you're like having to give up interval sessions to do this, or you're doing interval sessions in the heat, good on you, but your session's going to be a much lower power, probably not getting what you want out of it. So yeah, anyway, 26 minutes in, 14 to go. I'm looking forward to getting off. I'm starting to feel like I am cooking.
To the world of sound. The world of sound. And now we have reached a square.
Right, Wednesday, so back to a pretty solid session this morning. About a couple of hours, so it's going to be 1 30-minute effort, just keeping some of that extensive work in, probably aiming for 350 as a minimum, 370 as a maximum for that sort of effort, so not easy, but not full gas, 30 minutes, and then 2 by 10 minutes, low cadence, aiming for 400, squeeze it a little bit more than that for feel good, so just getting a little bit of that work over threshold back in, before probably a couple more sessions like that from the weekend onwards before I go.
Alright, that's that first 30-minute effort done. It's actually 372 watts in the end, which is at the higher end of what I sort of let myself do, and really happy with it, felt really comfortable. Of course it's not easy, but comfortable for that sort of power. It's now 2 by 10 minutes, low cadence, see how they go, but unfortunately I missed it during the effort, but the best for the sunrise but have a look at that if you can see it. It's a pretty nice morning. Makes up for the past couple of days.
A square.
bitch.
Alright, so that's session done. Pretty good session, happy with how it went. 1 by 30 minutes, 2 or 10 minutes. I'm all pretty happy with it. So that's where we've ended up so far. So I just come home, grab my backpack, and then I ride to work. And here you go. Oh, there's session details there. So off to work, and then another heat session this afternoon. Alright, another heat session. Got my flatmate back from the Tuatara 1000 or 500. There he is. How's it going, Corby?
It's good, thanks. Good.
How you feeling?
I feel sore
Why's that?
because I didn't finish.
Oh, sore on the ego, is it? Or the morale?
Mentally sore.
Oh, was it, one question for you though, was it hot down there?
No.
Nice for sun. Alright, Thursday. My apologies if my hype levels or energy levels aren't through the roof in some of these morning videos. It's between sort of 5 and 6 in the morning when I'm doing them, so I'm still half asleep. But anyway, today's session, another reasonably good one after a solid session yesterday. So yesterday ended up being about 3 hours with those 30 minute effort in the 2x10. Today it's essentially 4 3-minute efforts done twice, so 8 3-minute efforts with a small break in between, and just a short rest between each 3-minute effort today, so 1.5 minutes rest. And I guess the concept here is you could call it a bit like you might have heard the Norwegian method or something like that. And it's not that, I'm not even quite sure what that is. Tried to listen to the podcast, it's just made me confused. But essentially, they're solid efforts. They'll be at least 400 watts, but aiming for sort of 420 or so, which for me is like, it's an effort, but for 3 minutes, that's not super hard. But the concept here is, I guess, the intensity control, or rather sort of trying to get time in that zone or time in that area, but reducing the sort of total stress on the body by making the efforts quite short with a short rest. So trying to accumulate more workload, but without accumulating the same level of fatigue is the concept here. Anyway, so that's this morning, and then pretty easy day tomorrow, and another heat ride tonight. Alright, first set of them done. Ended up averaging close to or around 430 for all of them, so happy enough with that. So here's the session there so far. Just get the last one in there, and yep, time for the next one. Alright, second set done. Nicely set there, so gave a little bit of a squeeze on the last one, which I'll show you here. So that's all the way through the first bit of it. And if I just scroll down to the last one, a little bit of a squeeze down the last one, 457, so reasonably hard, but nothing too crazy. So yeah, now go home, pick my backpack up, cruise into work. Another heat session tonight. Alright, made it to my rest day. Ride to work, ride home, hot bath, nice and easy. Definitely well needed for a pretty big session tomorrow.